Mount Rushmore of basketball as far as I'm concerned. I don't believe that would have happened if he had been in the same era as Michael Jordan. Because LeBron James' greatness would have shined against everybody else. But then when he went against Jordan, Jordan was one of those guys that he was not just out to beat you. He was out to
Okay, listen. I got a lot of respect and love for Clyde Drexler. We know what Michael Jordan did to that man. And understand that even though he did that to Clyde Drexler is not on the level of LeBron James. But if you watch LeBron James, particularly on his show, The Shop, which I think they're doing a very, very good job.
Congratulations to him and his crew with the job that they're doing. I'm really, really fond of what I'm seeing from them. LeBron talks about what it took for him to get to that point. Like losing in the finals to the Dallas Mavericks was his greatest achievement. That, to me, and in a lot of people's eyes, that's when he choked. He scored 8 points in an NBA Finals game. It was just an embarrassing performance, you know, the likes of which we never thought we would see, and he took tremendous hits. And it was after that that the aura, the mystique of LeBron James came into fold, because obviously he was locked in, zeroed in, and what have you. What I'm proclaiming is that those early years of LeBron James and the suffering he endured because of it, against specifically somebody like Michael Jordan, he would have never recovered from that, because Jordan would have piled it on year after year.
Annihilate you, to take your heart right out of your chest, to just make you just bow to his greatness practically, for crying out loud. It was like that, okay? Listen, I got a lot of respect and love for Clyde Drexler. We know what Michael Jordan did to that man. And understand that even though he did that to Clyde Drexler is not on the level of LeBron James. But if you watch LeBron James, particularly on his show,
he had that. If LeBron was playing in the era with Jordan, it would have been, what you gonna do against this guy? And this guy would have never allowed LeBron to elevate, because it would have been at his expense. And Jordan would have never allowed that. Never. Not in a million years. It would have never been this LeBron. Never. There are moments in sports media history when a single sentence can shake the entire basketball world. On First Take, Stephen A. Smith, one of the most authoritative voices at ESPN, delivered such a thunderbolt. LeBron James would not be this great if he played in the same era as Michael Jordan. This wasn't just a hot take for clicks, nor a playful jab. It was lightning cutting through the sky, a wake-up call to an entire generation that has grown comfortable calling LeBron the king, treating him as if his greatness were beyond question. Stephen A. wasn't denying LeBron's place in history.
In fact, he admitted LeBron belongs on basketball's Mount Rushmore, among the very few greatest ever. But then came the brutal slice of truth. Had LeBron appeared in Jordan's era, that monument would never have been built. Why? Because LeBron never had to face a man like Michael Jordan.
For the Shop, which I think they're doing a very, very good job. Congratulations to him and his crew with the job that they're doing. I'm really, really fond of what I'm seeing from them. LeBron talks about what losing in the finals to the Dallas Mavericks was his greatest achievement. That, to me, in a lot of people's eyes, that's when he choked. He scored 8 points in an NBA Finals game. It was just an embarrassing performance, you know, the likes of which we never thought we would see. And he took tremendous hits. And it was after that the aura, the mystique of LeBron James came in the fold, because
Drexler was humiliated, discarded, made irrelevant by Jordan's dominance. That was Drexler, and he wasn't even on LeBron's level. But the lesson was clear. Jordan did this to everyone. Now, compare that to LeBron's darkest moment, the 2011 Finals, when he managed just 8 points in a Finals game against the Dallas Mavericks. That performance nearly destroyed his reputation, but history gave him a lifeline. LeBron had time to recover, rebuild, and eventually climb back to greatness. Stephen A. was crystal clear. If the man across from LeBron in those moments had been Jordan, there would have been no recovery, no rebirth, no second act. Jordan would have crushed him again and again, leaving no air to breathe, no chance to resurrect a career. The name LeBron James would never have carried the weight it does today. Max Kellerman added a sharper edge. LeBron is great because he can do more with less, because he can drag weak rosters to the NBA Finals. But when it comes to closing the door, when it comes to erasing another man's legacy, there is only one name, Michael Jordan. And if they had played in the same era, Jordan would have been that immovable mountain standing in LeBron's path, preventing him from ever ascending to immortality.
Stephen A. took the comparison even further.
Wilt Chamberlain once put up otherworldly numbers, 100 points in a game, 50 points per season. Yet, when history speaks of immortal legends, we call the names Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan. Why? Because Wilt always lost to Russell when it mattered most. Stephen A. warned, had LeBron played in Jordan's era, he would have been the Wilt Chamberlain of his generation, spectacular, historic, but ultimately blocked from greatness by the giant called his airness. And that is the truth the younger generation must carve into their memory. The only reason LeBron has been allowed to touch the heavens is because Jordan was no longer there to guard the gates. History has been merciful to LeBron, but if time had spun differently, the legend of King James might only be remembered as a distant star, forever eclipsed by the blazing sun named Michael Jordan. Jordan, the annihilator who didn't just win, he crushed souls. To understand why Stephen A. Smith's warning cuts so deep, you must first confront the very essence of Michael Jordan, because Jordan was not simply a competitor. He was a force of nature, a hurricane wrapped in human skin, an executioner disguised as an athlete. Every time he stepped onto the hardwood, he carried one mission in his chest, not just to beat you, but to destroy you so thoroughly that you would never dare challenge him again. Think about this. Most great players measure success in wins, in championships, in stats. But Jordan's definition of success was darker, sharper. He wanted to leave opponents broken, trembling, questioning their very existence in the game of basketball. That is why former players still speak of him with a certain chill in their voice. It wasn't just that Jordan was better, it was that he made them feel it deep in their bones every night they faced him. Consider the stories burned into NBA folklore. Clyde Drexler, an all-NBA talent, was compared to Jordan in 1992. What did Jordan do? He targeted Drexler in the finals, raining down three-pointers in Game 1, glaring at the media as if to say, "How dare you even compare him to me?" By the end of that series, Drexler's reputation was dented forever. Charles Barkley, MVP of the league in 1993, believed destiny was his. Jordan answered with 41 points per game in the finals, ripping Barkley's dream to shreds. Barkley himself admitted later, "That was the first time I felt there was someone better than me on the planet." Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, Gary Payton, Shawn Kemp, one by one, their legacies were clipped short by the presence of number 23. These weren't just losses, they were executions. This was the essence of Jordan, a killer instinct so pure, so relentless, that it bordered on cruelty. He didn't simply defeat legends, he erased their best moments from history and claimed them as his own. Now, contrast this with LeBron James. Yes, LeBron has had great victories. The 2016 comeback against Golden State is etched in history. But even in his triumphs, there was no blood on the floor, no shattered psyches left behind. LeBron beat opponents. Jordan buried them. That is why Stephen A's vision of LeBron collapsing under Jordan's wrath is not fantasy. It's reality projected backward in time. Imagine LeBron, in his fragile Miami days, already shaken after 2011, running headlong into Jordan's Bulls year after year. There would be no escape, no relief, no safe season. Jordan would have stalked him, targeted him, suffocated him, and snuffed out any rise before it began. Jordan's greatness was not just about rings, though 6 without a loss is untouchable. It was about the psychological warfare he waged and won every single night. He owned his opponents before the ball was even tipped. His glare alone could drain courage. His scoring bursts were not just points, they were daggers driven into the heart of another man's career. And here lies the truth that must be burned into every listener's mind. Michael Jordan did not allow rivals to coexist. He consumed them. He denied them air. He erased them from the record. LeBron James, no matter how mighty, would not have been spared. LeBron, and the difference in competition. One of the sharpest contrasts between Michael Jordan and LeBron James lies not only in their styles of play, but in the battlefields they faced. The NBA is not a vacuum. Every era has its warriors, its monsters, its dynasties, and greatness is forged not only by what you accomplish, but by who you had to conquer to get there. When we speak of Michael Jordan's journey, we speak of a gauntlet of giants. The bruising bad boy Pistons who tried to break his body with every drive to the rim. The dynastic Boston Celtics led by Bird, McHale, and Paris, champions who demanded respect with every possession. The New York Knicks of the 90s, physical enforcers who turned every playoff series into a war zone. The Indiana Pacers, led by Reggie Miller, who pushed Jordan to 7 brutal games in 1998. And of course, legends like Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Hall of Famers lined up year after year, waiting to challenge the throne. Jordan didn't just collect 6 rings, he collected 6 rings by crushing legends. Each championship was a grave marker on the path he carved through history. His resume is a battlefield of fallen titans. Now, shift your eyes to LeBron James. Yes, his finals runs were impressive. 10 appearances, 4 titles. But peel back the layers. In the East, for nearly a decade, there was no superpower to rival him. Teams like the Toronto Raptors, the Atlanta Hawks, the Indiana Pacers, solid squads, but none of them dynasties. LeBron walked through a weak conference year after year, dragging mediocre supporting casts to the finals. Admirable, yes, but legendary in the same sense, no. And when the battles truly mattered, LeBron's opponents in the finals were different beasts. The Spurs with Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, and Pepovic. The Warriors with Curry, Thompson, Green, and Kevin Durant. These were juggernauts built on system, depth, and firepower, not on single rivals staring him down year after year, the way Jordan's rivals did. Here lies the critical difference. Jordan's path was about one-on-one wars with legends, mano a mano, careers colliding head-on. He didn't just beat teams, he dismantled men with names carved in stone. Every victory was personal, every duel was definitive. LeBron, on the other hand, faced systems. He lost to Dallas in 2011, not because Dirk Nowitzki was Michael Jordan, but because a single star and a cast of role players executed perfectly. He lost to San Antonio, not because Duncan was out for his blood, but because the Spurs machine suffocated him with teamwork. He lost to Golden State, not because Steph Curry hunted him down year after year like Jordan did his rivals, but because a historic assembly of talent overwhelmed his squads. LeBron's narrative is one of battling collective excellence. Jordan's narrative is one of slaying individual greatness. And that is why the weight feels so different. Ask yourself this: what defines immortality? More defeating nameless systems, or defeating legends whose faces are etched into history? Jordan left behind a trail of conquered kings. LeBron left behind seasons where he often stood alone, heroic yet incomplete, fighting against super teams instead of rivals destined to share the same mythical stage. This is the heart of Stephen A's warning. If LeBron had played in Jordan's era, there would have been no system to blame, no faceless juggernaut. It would have been Jordan himself, relentless, personal, merciless. And against that, year after year, LeBron would have crumbled under the weight of a shadow that allows no equal physical power. Why Jordan was never inferior, only underrated. In today's debates, one of the most common arguments in favor of LeBron James is his athleticism. The refrain goes something like this: LeBron is bigger, stronger, faster. He's the most gifted athlete in NBA history. But here's the truth that too many have forgotten. Michael Jordan was every bit the freak of nature LeBron is, and in certain ways, even more so. Consider this: Jordan's recorded vertical leap, 48 inches, still one of the highest ever measured. The man didn't just jump, he seemed to hover, to suspend gravity itself. There were articles in Sports Illustrated asking if Jordan was somehow defying physics because he appeared to stay airborne longer than humanly possible. His 40-yard dash officially clocked at 4.6 seconds, but his college coach Dean Smith swore Jordan once ran it in 4.3 seconds, the speed of an NFL wide receiver. His wingspan, his hand size, monstrous advantages. Jordan could palm the ball like it was a toy, controlling it one-handed, faking, manipulating, creating space in ways LeBron never could. Even Kobe Bryant, whose skill set mirrored Jordan's, admitted he didn't have Jordan's hands, a unique weapon in tight spaces. And remember, Jordan was doing all of this at 6'6", 198 pounds. He wasn't a bulldozer, he was a panther, lean, fast, lethal. Where LeBron overwhelms with raw size, Jordan sliced through defenses with a blend of agility, explosion, and control that no one had ever seen. This is where the narrative becomes dangerous. Over time, fans began to mythologize LeBron as the greatest athlete, forgetting that Jordan, too, was once called otherworldly in the 1980s and 90s. The shock wasn't LeBron, it was Jordan. He was the one who made people gasp, who left commentators searching for words, who made children believe humans could fly. The difference is subtle but vital. LeBron's athleticism is obvious. His frame, his strength, his power, it hits you instantly. Jordan's athleticism was deceptive. He looked human, but once the ball was in play, he moved like something beyond human. His grace disguised his savagery. His elegance hid the ferocity of his engine. Even the analytics, the very numbers LeBron leans on, confirm it. When comparing prime Jordan to prime LeBron, advanced metrics still tilt slightly in Jordan's favor. Efficiency, scoring, dominance, win shares, peer. The data whispers what the eye once screamed. Jordan wasn't just keeping up physically, he was ahead. So when modern fans dismiss Jordan as if he'd be too small or not athletic enough in today's game, they reveal their ignorance. Because Jordan wasn't just built for the 80 seconds and 90 seconds. He was a prototype ahead of his time. Drop him into 2025 and his frame, speed, and explosion still dominate. And here's the key insight. LeBron's physical gifts made him feared. Jordan's physical gifts combined with his killer will made him inevitable. LeBron has always looked the part of a king, but Jordan looked like a man until he took flight, and the world realized God's walk among us. Peak versus longevity, the true nature of the GOAT debate. When people argue for LeBron James as the greatest of all time, the loudest weapon they wield is not dominance, not perfection, not an untouchable record of finals glory. It's longevity. The claim goes, LeBron has been great for longer. He's lasted. He sustained his greatness across 2 decades. And in one sense, that is true. LeBron has defied Father Time, playing at a high level into his late 30 seconds, even into his 40 seconds. His durability is astonishing. His ability to adjust his game and remain relevant, undeniable. But here's the problem. Longevity is not the same as supremacy. Longevity is a measure of survival. Supremacy is a measure of destruction. Michael Jordan's case for GOAT does not rest on the number of years he played. It rests on the years that no one could touch him. 6 finals appearances, 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, undefeated, untouchable, 10 scoring titles, 9 all-defensive first teams, 5 league MVPs, all in a 13-year stretch of absolute dominance. 2 three-peats separated by a retirement where he left the game at his peak and returned only to reassert his rule. Jordan's career wasn't just long, it was a reign of terror, compressed into the sharpest, deadliest window in NBA history. He didn't need 20 years to prove his case. He needed just over a decade to end the argument forever. And here's the uncomfortable truth for LeBron's defenders. If Jordan had wanted longevity, he could have had it. He walked away at his peak twice. He lost years in his prime that could have padded his totals. Yet even with fewer seasons, his resume shines brighter. Because what matters most is not how long you played, but what you did when the lights were brightest. LeBron's longevity argument crumbles when you remember one thing. At his absolute best, Jordan was better. Even advanced analytics, the modern language LeBron embraces, say so. In their primes, Jordan edges LeBron in efficiency, dominance, and impact. This is not nostalgia, this is math. This is reality. Longevity then becomes not an argument of superiority, but of consolation. It says, maybe I wasn't the best in my peak, but I stayed around longer. That is the Wilt Chamberlain dilemma all over again. Breathtaking numbers stretched across years, but never the razor-sharp blade of unquestioned dominance. Greatness is not measured in decades, it is measured in moments. The moments when everything is on the line, and one man bends reality to his will. Jordan in '98 hitting the dagger over Brian Russell, walking away a champion once more. Jordan in '93 scoring 55 points in the finals against Barkley's Suns. Jordan in '92 shrugging after his 6th three-pointer, reducing the comparison with Drexler to ashes. These are the peaks that define immortality. These are the mountains that stand taller than the plains of endless seasons. LeBron's career is a story of endurance. Jordan's career is a story of perfection. And when the debate is about the greatest, perfection will always outweigh endurance. Because no one builds statues of survivors. Statues are built for conquerors. Killer instinct. Jordan's ruthlessness versus LeBron's fragile psyche.
There are things you can measure in basketball. Points, rebounds, assists, efficiency, wins. And then there are things you cannot measure. Things that don't appear in any box score. Things that separate immortals from mortals. For Michael Jordan, that unmeasurable quality was his killer instinct. Jordan didn't just want to win, he wanted to crush. He wanted to stand over the fallen body of his opponent and know that man would never rise again. He wanted to tear out hope, to make rivals fear him before the game even started. Listen to the stories. Teammates recall that Jordan turned every practice into a war. If you couldn't handle his fire, you didn't deserve to wear a Bulls jersey. Opponents remember his eyes, that glare, that fire, as if he were hunting them. Gary Payton once said Jordan's presence alone could change the outcome of a game before the first whistle. Jordan's obsession with winning bordered on psychotic. Cards, golf, shooting drills, it didn't matter. If you beat him once, he'd make it his mission to destroy you the next time. This wasn't passion, this was pathology. Jordan was wired to kill. Now look at LeBron James. Greatness, undeniable. Brilliance, of course, but his relationship with pressure has always been different. In 2011, on the biggest stage, he disappeared. 8 points in a finals game. That moment will forever haunt his resume. Over the years, LeBron has spoken openly about the weight of expectations, about doubt, about needing to find peace of mind. Admirable honesty, yes, but it exposes a truth. LeBron has wrestled with pressure. Jordan devoured it.
even in victory, LeBron sometimes played like a man calculating, analyzing, managing the moment. Jordan played like a predator, unleashed, willing to die on the floor rather than surrender. This is not to mock LeBron. It is to highlight the chasm between the two. LeBron's mentality is one of endurance, of survival, of making the right play. Jordan's mentality was one of conquest, of domination, of making sure you never forgot his name. And here's the nightmare scenario Stephen A. painted. If LeBron had faced Jordan early in his career, his fragile psyche would have been shattered. Because Jordan would not have just beaten him, he would have targeted him, stalked him, and broken him year after year. LeBron would never have had the chance to rebuild after Dallas. He would never have been allowed the luxury of failure followed by redemption. Jordan would have piled on again and again until all that was left was a broken king stripped of his crown. This is the cruelest truth of all. LeBron has always been respected. Jordan was feared. And in sports, respect wins you fans. But fear wins you history. The ghost of history. Wilt Chamberlain's lesson for LeBron. History is not just written by numbers. If it were, Wilt Chamberlain would be sitting alone at the top of the basketball mountain. Think about it. 100 points in a single game. 50 points per game for an entire season. Rebounding records that will never be touched. On paper, Wilt looks like the greatest to ever breathe. And yet, when the conversation shifts to immortality, to the true Mount Rushmore of basketball, Wilt's name often slips out of the top tier. Instead, we hear Russell, Kareem, Jordan. Why? Because when it mattered most, Wilt kept losing to Bill Russell, 11 championships to 2. Russell didn't have Wilt's stats, didn't fill the record books with cartoon numbers, but Russell had one thing Wilt could never match: the rings that came from defeating Wilt head-to-head. The message is brutal but clear. You can dominate the numbers, but if another man blocks your path to glory, history will remember you as second. Now apply this to LeBron James. Yes, he has the longevity, the stats, the records, but what if Michael Jordan had been in his way the entire time? What if instead of waltzing through a weak Eastern Conference in the 2000s and 2010s, LeBron had to face Jordan's Bulls every single year? We already know the answer.
He would have lost over and over, just as Wilt did to Russell. And how would history remember him then? Not as the king, but as the man who could never climb the mountain. Instead of 4 rings, perhaps 0. Instead of GOAT debates, endless reminders that he could not surpass his airness. Instead of his legacy glowing as the greatest of this era, he'd be frozen in the shadow of Jordan, forever measured as the best of the rest. Stephen A. said it plainly. We don't talk about Wilt Chamberlain the same way because Russell always beat him. The same fate would have awaited LeBron. He would have been Wilt Chamberlain, 2 spectacular numbers, unmatched physical gifts, but denied the crown because Jordan never allowed him to ascend. And that's the nightmare young fans don't want to face. If Jordan had played in this era, LeBron wouldn't be the king. He would be the tragic giant, the man who almost touched heaven, but was always dragged back to earth by a god in a Bulls jersey. The lesson is eternal. Greatness is not defined by what you can do, but by who you can conquer. Wilt could not conquer Russell, and LeBron would never have conquered Jordan. Conclusion. Why LeBron will never touch Jordan. When the dust settles and the arguments quiet, one question remains at the heart of every debate. Who is the greatest of all time? LeBron James has built a resume of breathtaking numbers, unmatched longevity, and a career that spans 2 decades of relevance. He is a giant of the sport, a legend by every definition. But greatness has levels, and immortality has rules, and those rules were written by Michael Jordan. We have seen the difference. Jordan as the annihilator, not just winning, but crushing souls, erasing rivals, making sure no one dared challenge him twice. Jordan's competition, a gauntlet of Hall of Famers and dynasties. Every ring earned through legendary battles. Jordan's physical gifts equal to or surpassing LeBron's, yet criminally underrated by modern fans who never saw him fly. Jordan's peak, the sharpest blade in basketball history, undefeated in 6 finals, 6 finals MVPs, a record so perfect it needs no padding. Jordan's killer instinct, the relentless fire that turned games into executions and rivals into broken men. Jordan's shadow, the reminder that history punishes those who fail against the ultimate obstacle, just as it punished Wilt Chamberlain against Russell, and just as it would have punished LeBron against Jordan. LeBron's story is one of survival, adaptation, endurance, but Jordan's story is one of conquest, domination, perfection. That is why the hypothetical Stephen A. Smith raised is not just speculation, it is a truth hidden in plain sight. If LeBron had faced Jordan year after year, his legacy would not be the same. He would not stand where he stands now. His crown would be cracked, his myth unfinished, his name remembered not as the king, but as another great man who lived in the wrong time, the time of Michael Jordan. And that is the essence of this debate. LeBron's greatness shines because the throne was vacant.
Jordan's greatness shines because he never let anyone else sit on it. So when we speak of the GOAT, we must remember respect belongs to LeBron, fear belongs to Jordan, and history belongs only to the man who left the game with no unanswered questions. Michael Jordan, 6-0, the man who never let anyone rise at his expense, the man who made legends bow, the man LeBron James could never in any lifetime surpass, because immortality is not about how long you last, it's about how complete